Dun, da, da, da. I'm not a bicycle expert, nor am I really an expert in anything, but I like to try and fix them. So I figured we would do a new segment series-ish type deal, starting with today's episode of Can He Fix It? I'm trying to fix my bike. I got a squeak that I'll play here so you can see it. I've already ran to the bike shop, the local nonprofit bike shop, see if they could diagnose what it was. They weren't super helpful. Tried to sort of just mess around with the tools that I had here, which I'll play on the screen. I tried to take my crankset off and get in to look at the bottom bracket, and I did not get very far because little did I know that bicycles have an insane amount of proprietary tools depending on where they're manufactured and what type of bike you have. So I then proceeded to do like 4 hours of research on what kind of tools I need. I think I got the right ones. Park Tool is a great resource that the nonprofit bike shop actually pointed me towards. They have a ton of awesome YouTube videos, which is what I'm going to be referencing in all of what I'm doing today. So I bought their tools, which hopefully this should be able to help get the crankset off, which is basically your pedals, and this should be able to let me remove my bottom bracket. So I can expect it for dirt and debris, and hopefully I might just need to re-grease it to stop the squeak, but yeah, that's what we're doing today. I am fairly positive that it's my bottom bracket that is squeaking. I can't really hear it coming from anywhere else, and it's only squeaking when I'm putting like a lot of pressure going uphill sort of vibe. And I lubed the chain up and it wasn't the chain. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to try and get in there in the bike and take apart the bottom bracket. So join me for this episode of Can He Fix It? I think I can. Maybe leave in the comments if you think I can. Yeah, come along for the ride. Hopefully you will learn something as I am learning something, and that'll provide the value for this video. Obviously there are a ton of experts that can do a way better job at being the expert, so I'm not going to try and do that today. And yeah, join me in this amateur fixing session, if you will. Alright, I will see you in the rest of the video. Yeah, let's get into it. First things first. Nice. Thank the Lord it fits. It says universal, so I was like, man, I hope this can fit. The first procedure that I've never done before is taking the crankset off. So this is a tool you tighten into the threads of the pedal, also known as the crankset, and then you tighten in this middle, I guess technically the motion of it is like a piston. So there is a smaller cylinder that is about to yeet itself into there, and this is pretty much just friction fit on there really tight. So what you do is you tighten this piston cylinder thing until it begins to pull the crankset, or push, I guess, the crankset off of there. And hopefully soon we'll be able to see some motion of this mechanism working. I'm looking right here to see it start to remove itself from the bracket. There, we got a little bit of motion. There it comes right off. So I forgot to mention in the beginning of this video that this is a square taper type crankset. And then I think it's an internal spline bottom bracket, but I'm not sure if it's a thread through or thread together. All this shit that I'm saying I just learned the other day on Park Tools videos, so I'll link those if you want to go check those out for this specific type of bike. So that is this tool. So a little further explanation. This guy is just friction fit onto there, and it's called a square taper because this is tapered. Literally just sits on there, but it's impossible to get off if you don't have a tool. And so you thread these threads into here. There's matching threads in there, and then this internal cylinder just pushes against that and pulls the whole thing out. So I'm gonna repeat this on the other side, and then yeah, then we're on to the bottom bracket. I feel a little bit, I don't have more experience than an amateur, but I have the information of professionals because I have been researching this from professionals for a good amount of time. And I do have an affinity for learning quickly, and so I guess where a little bit of the value of this video comes in is that I hopefully will be able to synthesize my 4 hours plus of research on this topic into a 15 to 20 minute video that one of you guys could watch, and then you would be saved that 4 hours of research. So hopefully that's what this is. That is provided that I succeed. So I'm more nervous about this side because it has the whole gear assembly on it, but not really much we can do except charge on forward. Oh, okay. The whole freaking assembly is gonna come off. I don't know how I feel about that. Interesting. The derailleur wants to just kind of pull it back. Oh, okay, the chain just comes off. Okay, not too bad. Ah, this is so fun. It is projects and moments like these that just confirm that I'm in the right degree program, becoming a mechanical engineer, because this is so fascinating to me. I don't know why. I'm just built different, I guess. But I like it, and if you're watching this video, then you probably do too, and it's just a wonderful thing to be the way we are. Okay, now we are on to the bottom bracket. So that is what they call the crankset, and we have removed the crankset. You can, I mean, it makes sense. This is your crank. I guess it's set in place. I don't know if that's why it's called a crankset. And now we are on to the bottom bracket, which is housed in here. And what is in here is basically just some, it's an assembly that is a free floating axle on essentially skateboard-like bearings, just ball bearings. So if this wasn't so greased up, you'd be able to see these are just bearings, and they have a couple different pieces of hardware, washers and whatnot, so that you have an axle that floats sturdily on some free rotating bearings, so that this rotates. That's the breakdown. And so what I think the issue is with my bike is that the bearings are gunked up. Something in this assembly is dirty or is dry and needs to be re-greased. And so that is why I'm taking it apart today. I'm really happy this fit. I pretty much just guessed. They have these guides on what tools are what on Park Tool. And so I just followed the guides and was like, I hope this works. So that is how I came to know which tools I needed. And I'll also link those videos in the description so that you can find out too. So they say to start on the non-drive side, so the non-chain side, because the standard is, at least for American bikes, that the non-chain side threads conventionally, so counterclockwise will unthread it, but the drive side sometimes on American bikes threads the other way, so clockwise is loosening it, so it'll be righty-loosey on the drive side. That's what I've heard, and that's what I've said, so I'm going to start, all the advice is to start on the non-drive side, because sometimes just taking this off will do it. So let's get this guy in there. Good angle of leverage. Oh, that was super easy. I was expecting that to be really stuck on. Oh, I think I got something loose. Okay, would you look at that? So these are the bearings on the outside. And now I need to tap into my own expertise and mechanical inclinations to try and diagnose what's going on here, and if just cleaning it will be enough, and how to clean it sufficiently and safely. My fail-safe option is research this and just buy a new one, or just take this into the bike shop and just get a full replacement assembly here, clean out this bottom bracket, put it in. Hopefully that solves the problem. But I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try and clean this up, put it back together, ride it, see if that fixes it. If not, I'll just buy a replacement part for this. So I decided to just wipe it down to begin with. This doesn't seem like it's 20 years old. And I bought this bike from that nonprofit bike shop I was telling you about 3 years ago. And so what I'm thinking now is that this bottom bracket was replaced at that bike shop. because if this were really 20 years old, I don't think I'd be able to read this text as clearly as I can. This seems more like a 3 or 4 year old part, but since I don't think it's that old, I don't know what could be wrong with it. As far as damage of the bottom bracket, there are a couple tests that you can do when the pedals, the crankset is on, to see if there's play in the bottom bracket, and that's usually when your bottom bracket is damaged. And the bike shop did that for me, and they didn't see anything wrong with the bracket itself. This actually is spinning a lot nicer than it was before. Some of you might skateboard or have been around bearings, but when you spin them and they go kind of like, I don't know how to explain it, but you can feel they got like a little crunchiness to them. That's what this had, and now it doesn't have that. So that is an improvement at the very least. It could just be that living in the Pacific Northwest, this got rain and grime in it, and it just needed to be cleaned and re-greased. It's gonna be a couple days for me, but I'll see you guys in like 10 seconds with the grease. We got the lube, AKA grease, AKA Park Tool Poly Lube. I just went down to the bike shop and grabbed this yesterday. It is now the next day, but like I said, see, it's just like 10 seconds. Now I'm back. Okay, so I think off camera, I cleaned some stuff up a bit. What I'm gonna do is grease up the bottom bracket, put some grease on everywhere where metal interfaces with another piece of metal. So when if there's going to be metal touching, it's getting grease on it. I'm gonna do that, put it all back together, take it for a test drive. So let's do it. Anytime you're working on anything, you gotta stay bevved up. Oh, and I don't think I mentioned it, but like I was saying, this did thread off, and you can see I cleaned it up, and it did thread non-conventionally. So righty-loosey should be, yep, see, righty-loosey on the drive side, so the side with the chain on it. For whatever reason, I am actually going to use this to apply the grease because I don't have any latex gloves, and I don't really want this on my hands. I know there are a lot of bike mechanics on YouTube that just grease things up with their fingers, but I'm not really that kind of guy. We got a cancer and reproductive harm warning. We got an emergency hotline, may cause allergic skin reaction, wear protective gloves, avoid breathing dust. That's enough for me to want to not get on my skin. We save our plastic bags, the ones that don't have icky foodstuffs in them, for situations just like these, getting down and dirty. You don't have to waste any plastic gloves. But right now I'm just gonna grease the threads and this bearing and put it back in. Ooh, look at this stuff. Interesting color. Slap this bad boy back in there. Here we go in this way. There are definitely torque specs, as you might imagine. Don't know where to find any documentation. So I'm just gonna go, I think what I was seeing in the Park Tool videos is about 30 pounds, 30 foot-pounds. And this is about a foot long. So I should put about 30 pounds of force against the end of this wrench. And that should be a pretty decent torque spec. So I'm just gonna kind of, I think that's about pulling 30 pounds, 30-ish. And now we put the crankset back on. And I think I just have to make sure they're opposites, right? Alrighty, I guess we go for a test drive now. Test drive time. Whew. Okay. Wow, I'm tired. I just went up that hill like 4 times. No squeak though, so I think that's pretty much just a success. Not much more to say about it. I'm going to go home and grab some water, and then I'll see you guys. Whew! I have arrived back hot and sweaty. The creak was completely gone. There, you could hear some stuff clicking and clacking, but that's all completely normal, just gears turning and pedals moving and stuff like that. Ultimate success. Take out the bottom bracket, clean all the dirt and grime out of there, re-grease it, tighten it back up real nice, and if you have the same issue that I was having, that should fix it. One step further, if you notice anything out of whack with your bottom bracket, or if someone's diagnosed it as you need a new bottom bracket because this is loose or something, just take it one step further, grab the part number that you saw, read off the part number to your bike shop or search it up on Google. Just buy yourself a new bottom bracket, and then reassembly instructions are the same. Hopefully that fixes your problem. I'm by no means an expert, like I said, but this seemed to work for me, so hopefully if you have a similar issue, this can work for you. Yeah, this will be the first episode of Can He Fix It? I'm Nobi, your gracious host, and yeah, thanks for joining me. In this case, I could fix it, and I'm stoked. Anyway, I just want to leave you guys with some words of encouragement. If you haven't worked on a bike before, definitely use Park Tools resources that they have on YouTube and their website. They have great articles as well. Get the right tools for the job, so diagnose what sort of parts you have on your bike. That's probably the biggest part of research that's going to be hard if you've never fixed your bike before. That's what it was for me. It took me a few hours to diagnose what type of bottom bracket and crankset that I had so that I could actually buy the right tools to remove them and work on it. I will have the links somewhere either on the eye, like I said, or in the description to Park Tools resources that I used. I'm super stoked. That only took a total of probably 2 hours of time working on it. That's with filming as well. So I went to the bike shop twice. I had to order and wait for some parts, but all in all, just the action of doing it. If you knew what you're doing, you had the parts, this should only take you 30 minutes to take everything apart, clean it out, re-grease it, put it back together, and you're golden. So I just want to encourage you guys to do it if you feel inclined. If not, your bike shop will give you a little tune-up for 60 bucks or something. So whatever you feel like doing. But yeah, thanks for watching this episode. I am super stoked. I like this new series. It was really fun to film. So yeah, stay tuned, subscribe for more, like this video if it helped you. Leave a comment if you have any questions as well. I'd be happy to respond. I get like 10 comments a video so far, so I will definitely be responding to all of them. And yeah, I love you. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it so much, and I'll see you in the next one. That dance was like if my end song was like, but it's not. It's like a beat. Maybe my end song will be it.